and when you need somebody, oh, you just hope that they're close by, and then in the big city and in a small city like Santa Quinn.
That's right. And it doesn't surprise me that Sergeant Hooser's connections run as deep as they do. I mean, just from listening to his family talk about him and seeing those pictures of him, he just seemed so fun, so loving, fun-loving, I guess you can say. Just seemed like he loved life. I love seeing the picture of him and his granddaughter Paxton, so cute, and he just looked like he liked to have a good time, and he loved to love,
Yeah, and you notice also, and I say this in the absolute best possible way, normal. How normal those pictures were.
Yeah.
Those pictures in the best possible way. That he was his arm around Kenda, his wife, at Bryce Canyon, and you see the beautiful backdrop, and you see them smiling in the foreground, and they're not posing, they're not trying to look like fashion models, they're just normal.
Most in the position of salute, others with hands over their hearts. And the drum and bugle corps, they are accompanying the casket as it makes its final procession into the hearse. And again, dozens and dozens of law enforcement officers from all across Utah, neighboring states, here in attendance, many holding their salute, others with their hands over their hearts, and many of them just here to pay a final tribute and say a final farewell to an officer who gave his life for his community.
Good to see you, Dan.
It's the end of a long week for everyone involved. First and foremost, the family of the sergeant, still trying to come to grips with their new reality. And then for those in law enforcement, dealing with another line of duty death. And they never get easier for all involved. The first one I covered was more than 30 years ago. And most folks can't think back more than 30 days, let alone 30 years, but it is always incredibly emotional. And now begins the journey to the cemetery in Santa Quinn. And the dispersal of the hundreds of law enforcement officers, their families, friends, everyone from, DNR, rangers, to local police, UHP troopers in attendance today. And most of them will accompany the hearse, the body and the family to the cemetery in Santa Quinn. And once again, the beginning of the end of a very long and emotional morning for folks gathered here.
Well, as the procession gets underway, we do have a reminder about the route and some related closures. It is going to enter at I-15 at Orem Center Street and then go southbound to I-15. Well, that's going to be closed, so do keep that in mind. It is recommended that drivers avoid that area and to take an alternate route if you can. Then the procession will exit I-15 at Summit Ridge in Santaquin, wind through the town before arriving at the city cemetery. And another reminder, there is going to be an hour to an hour and a half delay between when the casket arrives and when that actual burial ceremony happens. So for those who do want to attend, you will not have to rush there. You do have some time before the actual burial takes place. Now we are looking at our UDOT camera here. This is at Center Street, so this is where it's going to begin, and it will make its way through here, and this is where it is all beginning. Again, this is Center Street in Orem, and this is where the procession will start before it winds its way through the city.
Mm-hmm.
So as you can see, this is the beginning of the procession. Officers are lining the streets, ready to go, as they will make their way through the town before arriving at the cemetery in Santaquin. You know, Max, I know you've covered these events before. I want to know, what was the emotion like in the center there? It seemed very solemn, very somber.
It was solemn. You know, people told some funny stories, but there wasn't, you know, there wasn't laughter really. People were feeling the occasion, and the importance of it, but also just feeling the emotions of it. You know, this when you cover something like this, and yeah, I'm sad to say I've covered too many police funerals and funerals of other people who have stepped into danger for us, for everybody else. And so it was that way. It was a very solemn time, but a very genuine time too. You were hearing from people who really knew him. Robin, you said how brave those daughters were to stand up and tell their stories. But boy, did they speak well of him. You know, you think about if you have children, you just they become your world, and you can see that he passed on some impressive genes. They're a cool family. I know that the governor, who we talked with shortly before the ceremony began, had spoken with the family. Here's a little bit of what he said.
Our law enforcement officers, they're the tough guys. They're the ones that are always there for everyone else, and we need to make sure that we're there for them right now at a time when our country is so fractured. It's a sobering reminder that there's so much goodness here, and I'm grateful to live in a state that cares about that.
Yeah, and he went on to say, and that's the thing that is brought home by something like this, is that he is extraordinary in the sense of what he gave and what he was willing to do. He was ordinary in the sense that he was going to work on Sunday. He went to work. He did his job, and this is what happened, because we live in a place where we need these guys and gals. There are a lot of women in uniform in the audience as well, and this is you know, you think about one thing that the police chief even mentioned, and this is not about us at all, but saying, you know, he said, I know that sometimes we kind of can ruffle feathers, we in the media, when we get together. There's some friction at times, but he was saying thanks for being respectful to the family. One thing that happens with police officers, and I don't know if I know Scott McCain has been so busy this morning, and if he can hear me or not, but Scott knows police officers in this state better than any reporter in the state, and those of us who have, every reporter's covered law enforcement to some degree, and what you realize is when you cover law enforcement, it's hard for them because they're always dealing with a situation where things are where they're dealing with something negative that's happened. They have to protect people's rights. They have to protect an investigation. They have to. They also have to keep a solid and stable presence in order to continue to exert the authority they need to in a situation that might get out of hand. And so we don't have the chance. When we don't have the chance, we can't just walk up and talk to them and hit things off when we go to the scene of something. And that's where you realize that there's something special about the bond between them, because they can talk to each other in ways that they maybe can't talk to us, and sometimes can't even talk to other people who are close to them because because their fellow officers know what they go through and can understand those things in context. And so it's at times like this that we learn, we get to see behind that veil a little bit.
Absolutely. I mean, they really do have a tough job. And, you know, as you said, he mentioned us as the media, sometimes we may not always see eye to eye at first, but we truly understand that the work they do is really difficult. And I mean, they are putting their lives on the line every day. Just listening to Shaylee, his daughter, talk, she really spoke to this, the logistics of his job and what he did. And it's not easy work. And you know what I thought was interesting, Max, you said something that reminded me of this. Governor Cox, when he spoke during the service, he was saying when he met with the family, he could just tell that Shaylee and Courtney were so different, right? I listened to Shaylee, and she was just talking about, this is who my dad was, this is what he did. And Courtney, you know, she's not going to be able to walk down the aisle with him later this year in September when she gets married. And she spoke more to that emotional human side, I believe. But yes, I mean, obviously this service was just so telling of the all-encompassing role that these folks play in our everyday lives.
Yeah, and that this is, and that those lives are going to go on. And they're going to go on with an absence. And I think that example of the wedding coming up was where people in the room kind of felt that absence,
yeah.
that notion that there is now a hole in a whole lot of people's world, and that he is left, and it was left because of someone doing something. I don't know if it was thoughtless. I don't know what it was. None of us do. We're sure there's going to be charges and a trial, but whatever it was, left a hole in these lives, and they are going to live on without him. And it's and so this next chapter is without the person who, Kenda, his wife, they went through tough times. New Mexico, recession hits, don't have a job. They need to figure out a way to make money. And he does that brave thing of, in the middle of life, literally midlife, we think about 40 years old, and he decides, I'm going to do something, I'm going to try something completely different.
Right.
And I'm going to care for this family by doing that. And he chose this, and what the governor said, as you mentioned, what the governor said about that was that he chose a calling, a vocation, and he embraced it, and the whole family did.
And something else Governor Cox said was, we cannot bring him back, we cannot change what happened, but we are going to spend the rest of our lives trying to make it up to you. That is what he was saying to the family. I think it just also spoke to the amount of support that was in the room, the amount of support from the community in general, because they are going to need that support. That absence certainly going to be felt for the department, but for this family, it's going to take some time for them to heal, especially under these circumstances. So that is something I thought was very moving that Governor Cox said earlier today.
Yeah. And when what has been left behind is a person who was a part of something bigger than himself, you know, and he chose to be a part of that. And we can all hope and pray that what that means for them is that they have that ministry of those people just being present in their lives. That if they need something, there are people there who want to help. And that's it's not easy to reach out in times like this. So many people at home have been through this. They've lost someone they loved, and it's so lonely and so difficult. So there is this community that's ready to step in and help. And then the larger Utah community, it's a reminder to all of us that I think Utah's pretty good at, but we can all use reminders to be part of the good in the world, and realize when we run into, we're never going to run into Bill Hooser again, but when we run into one of his colleagues, that we see them as them.
That's right, Max. And what we're seeing on our screens here, these brave men and women that you spoke of are here as the procession gets underway, and I've just watched motorcycle after motorcycle after motorcycle take off, and it really just is a reminder that this is a huge community and that they will have that support if they need it. And again, this procession is getting underway. The motorcades have already started to take off. We are waiting for it to start there at Orem Center Street, where they will wind through the town before they make their way to the cemetery. You can just see all of these officers there in support of Sergeant Hooser.
Yeah. It's his chief, when he was talking about him, was saying, and I think we can all see this person. I mean, you just get a sense of who this guy was in different settings. And Sergeant Bill Hooser, apparently was a talker, and the chief, it was funny. The chief had a couple of stories, but basically saying, yeah, he'd come in to update me every morning in the office, and 2 hours later I could get to the rest of my work. and you have that sense. I don't know if the chief is an introvert. There are folks at home who hear that and they know, oh yeah, there are those people in my life who I know, okay, we're going to get into conversation, and 2 hours later we'll move on to whatever is happening next. And I am absolutely sure that police chief is now glad for every 2 hour period of time that they had. Even though at the time, I'm sure, just because it was one of his stories that through their relationship, he was always like, okay, Bill, get to the point, and Bill was the guy who, I want to tell you everything and I have these things to share.
Absolutely. Yeah, we all have those people in our lives, right? And as you can see on your screen, or Max, I should tell you, as we are seeing on our screens, the hearse with the sergeant's body is pulling out as we speak, as the procession gets underway, and they are headed to Center Street before they make their way through the town. And again, I do want to remind folks there is going to be a delay between the arrival at the cemetery and the actual burial, so you do have time to get there. I know traffic is probably going to be pretty bad, pretty heavy, accounting for all of this and everyone who attended the service, but you will have some time to make it there if you do so choose.
Yeah, this procession is going to block traffic for quite some time. It's you go out into these huge parking lots. It's a university, and it's a commuter university largely, and so there are a whole lot of parking spaces, and they are full of official law enforcement vehicles from as far away as north of in Idaho and the Boise area, all the way to southern Utah. Are the folks that I saw. There are just dozens upon dozens of police cars that will be a part of this procession going through town. And it's going to go, if you're picturing this and you're thinking about planning your day, of course we're in Orem, you may know where UVU is, going to get on Center Street and they go south. And so it's going to be southbound I-15 lanes that are going to be carrying that procession. And so the procession will move south to Santaquin at the southern end of Utah Valley to rest and get the honors that he deserves, although that no one wanted him to get at this point in life.
Absolutely, and what we were just seeing there as the procession was making its way through the streets, the people who are not taking part in the procession, who were lining the streets and are just there to pay their respects, many of the officers there saluting as the motorcades pass by, obviously a sign and show of respect. So many people here today just to pay their respects. You know, maybe they won't be going to the burial, but they did want to show up and support. Really touching, really moving to see. And right now what we're seeing, this is Center Street. This is in Orem where the procession starts, and that's where it will start before it makes its way through the town and before it heads to Santaquin. And we are seeing all of these cars leaving out right now under that huge American flag, a beautiful sight there. And
Yeah, and it's a beautiful day. It's gorgeous outside, and you know the sun is shining on this procession, and that's going to be a nice thing for the family to be out there in weather where they don't have to worry about the elements getting to them, and you know they're the people who are coming out here to show their support, and folks at home. I know you all watching at home are thinking, yeah, and we support that as well, at least in terms of knowing that this is a person who sacrificed something for someone else, and that's kind of a universal thing. That notion of honoring those who are willing to make that sacrifice. It happens in different ways. There are so many people who do it in subtle ways, as Bill Hooser did for all of his career up until that last day. He wasn't making headlines. He was doing the work, and that's what we all try to do in our own way. But yeah, it's something to honor today. And as we watch that procession, just remember that there are folks around us who are doing the work as well.
Absolutely, he was a hero for sure. Now, we do want to turn to Spencer Joseph, who is along the procession route. Spencer, a very sad day, very solemn, a lot of emotions running high here. What have you been seeing? What have you experienced out there?
Certainly, and it is, as you were mentioning, it is a gorgeous day out here. You can see all of the flags lining the procession route. This is where the procession route will go through and make a turn down to the cemetery. Now, I'm here with Macy, who's one of those who came out here with a few other people that are starting to gather. Now, we were just talking about why you wanted to come out here. Tell people why you are so passionate and why you want to make sure to be here today.
Well, this man gave his life protecting all of us, and it is the littlest thing that I could do to come here. I wish I could do more, but just showing his family and the officers and all of the first responders how much we love and appreciate them is so important, to be able to have them go out and serve us every day.
So you're originally from Lehigh, but you moved down to Santaquin and live here now.
Yes.
How amazing is it to see? I mean, there are flags lining every part of Main Street. There are stickers supporting the law enforcement community, every single business. So what is that like for you to see?
It is so humbling to see a community come together so quickly when one of our sergeants has fallen. Every corner has a blue flag or ribbon tied around it, and it just, all of the heart that's on the hill, and all of these trucks coming out and waving their flags, and people driving down the roads with flags. It just really shows how important these men and women are to our community and all that they do for us.
And we're standing close to the police car that has just been decorated with so many patches, hats, flowers, words of affirmation for the family, words of love for the family. And behind us at the police department, they've posted all letters and everything on the door as well. Mm-hmm. You drive by this, I'm guessing, pretty much every day.
Yes.
So what was it like for you to see it grow?
It was incredible. So many people have come out, which is so amazing. And watching it grow just really touches your heart, knowing that he and his family are in so many people's lives right now. And we are all just so grateful for his sacrifice and his family's sacrifice to protect us.
Thank you, Macy. We
All right.
appreciate it
Thank
so much.
you.
You got your flag.
Yep, got my flag.
We'll be lining the procession route. It will, again, come through here, so we're going to stay live out here and watch the procession route as it heads to the cemetery. But for now, I'm going to
Sir, thank you so much. Now we want to turn to Bob Evans, who is also in Santaquin. Bob, a very sad day, but it's beautiful to see the support that has been shown in full force.
This is a really tough way, Robin, I would say, to be able to watch the camaraderie and the brotherhood, the sisterhood of those who serve us on that thin blue line. Here at the Santaquin Cemetery, just over my shoulder, they're getting the gravesite ready for the family and the ceremonies that will take place here. Of course, we are going to keep our distance so as not to intrude on the family, but I do want to bring in with me right now Lieutenant Patrick Evans with the Draper City Police Department. And Lieutenant, you are the president of the Utah Fallen Officers Memorial.
The Utah Law Enforcement Memorial.
Yeah,
yes.
Law Enforcement Memorial. You never want to see this kind of thing happen.
No, we just had our annual memorial service last week, and the last thing in the world we'd want to know is that we have another name to add so quickly. So, very somber week, very sad week.
What does, is it possible to share with those of us who are not in law enforcement the feelings that go through, that ripple through all of law enforcement when one of your brothers or sisters is lost?
In law enforcement, we really are a brother and sisterhood, and when this happens, it doesn't matter where it happens, you feel it, and your families feel it, and we're naturally givers and carers, right? That's most police officers do. They say it in their first interview. Why do you want to be an officer? I want to go out and I want to help people. And when things like this happen, there's an overwhelming want and need to help and support that family too, and make sure that loss, that sacrifice is never forgotten.
You don't have to know the officer or the trooper or the deputy to be moved when this happens.
Absolutely not. We have thousands of officers in the state of Utah, and we're not going to know each other. But when it does happen, like I said, and any of us especially that have experienced a loss in our own departments, you are moved, and you just want to support. You want to love and make sure that they get the honor they deserve, and that's what these guys are doing today.
It's tough to talk about at a time of grief like this, but it is a reality for the families that wind up having to go through this, and that is their main breadwinner is gone. And the confusion, the fear that must overwhelm them, let alone the grief that they're going through because of their terrible loss. What can you share with us that way?
Yeah, it is overwhelming, and unfortunately through two organizations, we talk about the memorial, but also the concerns of police survivors here in Utah. It's a national organization. We have a Utah chapter. We're organizations that will hang around and be there with them through the long haul and help them navigate, and help the agencies and coworkers navigate, and I say them, the families, through those processes, and try to support provide lifetime support so they don't feel alone. And unless you're a spouse and you lose that spouse, or you're a parent, you lose that parent, or you're a daughter, you lose your dad. You don't know those feelings. But our organizations, we can bring those type of people together that have gone through those same tragedies to help each other, and that's what we do to help them navigate through those tough times ahead.
What happens financially when this kind of a thing occurs?
Well, luckily. You can't say luckily. Fortunately, that although there's been a tragedy, there are generous people in this world, and we've seen over the last week, you see these fundraisers come up for the Hooser family, and I hope that continues to happen, because I think a lot of times we think, oh, they raised a lot of money when you see a dollar amount, but the reality is that may be an annual salary, right? You start thinking about that, and so they need all that love and support. There are some benefits available. There's some small benefits through the state. There's an awesome foundation called the 1033 Foundation. Tor started that organization, and he gets some immediate help to the family. And then there's some national peace officer, public safety officer benefits that the federal government will get for them. However, it's a typical government thing where it takes time. So there'll be some benefits there for them to help them move forward.
What are the Santaquin police officers going through right now? I mean, they're a small department, and you were part of a small department when Draper was relatively small. It's pretty big now, but what happens? You've experienced a fallen officer, a close friend of yours.
Well, I think the most obvious thing I can say is and I've only met with the chief from Santaquin, so I haven't talked to him personally, but from my personal experience, there's a lot of pain. There's a lot of hurt. There's a lot of unanswered questions, or why couldn't it have been me, or that could have been me. There's all kinds of stuff. But what I will say is it is a time where a department typically comes together, and the important part is for them to remember why they came together and stay together, because they need to build that framework so they can be strong when they get back out on the streets and they're patrolling their neighborhoods, this beautiful community. Yeah, I hope I answered that well.
There is an outpouring of support, an outpouring of affection, outright affection for the men and women in blue right now. What does it feel like to be on the receiving end of that?
It's very touching. It's very important. When I say a lot, when you're going through that tragedy and you're going through those experiences, to see that outpouring of support, it's that reminder that every one of those officers needs, and honestly, their spouses, their families, the family of the fallen, they need to see that to know that the community really does love them. Oftentimes when it comes to police and the media, let's be honest, a lot of times it could be the negative stories, right?
Yeah.
And the reality is most of society loves the law enforcement community, and you see that and you need that, especially at that time.
We are going to see, and we have seen, officers and deputies from agencies around the country. They typically come to something along these lines, and that kind of outpouring for the citizenry to see that thin blue line goes way across state lines.
And outside the country, oftentimes you'll see Mounties at these funerals. It's important for the community to see that too. Hey, we've got each other's backs. We're protecting you, but we also look after our own.
Lieutenant Pat Evans, thank you so much. Draper Police Department. Again, we are waiting for the procession to work its way down here to Santaquin and to the cemetery, and to late Sergeant Bill Hooser's final resting place, which is being prepared now, the flowers and the PA system. If we can get a shot of this, Nathaniel. And everything is in place now for the family to come. And this will become a very sacred and hallowed space for them in the days and weeks and months and years to come. And not just for them, but for their fellow officers, for those who loved them, those who worked beside them, and who are willing to give what Sergeant Bill Hooser gave. And that is inspiring. And I know that this will be a place of inspiration for many, many people to come. We're going to stay out here and remain live at the cemetery, and we'll bring you the arrival of the procession when it comes, and count on us to be able to do that. And Lieutenant Evans is going to stay with us as well and share his perspectives as we honor the life of fallen Sergeant Bill Hooser of the Santaquin Police Department. I'm Bob Evans, live in Santaquin. Max and Robin, back to you.
Well, Bob, it looks like it's going to take a while for the entirety of the procession to get to you. We're looking at one of our UDOT cameras. This is I-15 southbound, and we've been switching different angles for a little bit here, and you can just tell that there are so many people that are a part of this procession, just car after car after car. We know that we were told that traffic will be delayed. Everyone's been told to take alternate routes if they can. And again, you can just see here how many people are out to support. So it will be a while before the entirety of that procession gets there. Max, are you still around?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I am with John, our photographer, the only person left, except for the guys who are pulling cables and things like that here in the arena. Honored to be here and to listen to be able to witness a little bit of this. That is our honor in the media. And one thing that's also our job is we approach things with skepticism. We're always looking to see if there's something that we need to notice to bring to the attention of those in power. And sometimes that means that we rub up against the law enforcement community, and that's going to happen. It happened before. It's going to happen again. But at a time like this, there's absolutely no other way to see this than that this is somebody who chose a noble profession and who gave everything to it, and that is something that deserves universal respect and honor, and so that's why we bring it to everybody here. And so, you know, there's so many communities in Utah, each with its own police department. It's a patchwork quilt of little departments that get to know each other and that work together. So remember, next time you run into one of those folks, for me, it's going to be because I let my truck go a little too fast, probably, and I'll be on the side of the road somewhere. And when those guys go up, or those gals, when they stand back and they're a little bit, you know, they're a little edgy as they go to your window, just remember that Sergeant Hooser, and Officer Frankham from earlier, that one of the people that Bob was alluding to, that these guys know that it's that they don't know which stop is going to be the dangerous one that could mean that their family mourns. And so that's what happened to Sergeant Hooser. And when you have those interactions, just remember, yeah, it does make your day worse, but remember who they are, and that they want to go home. And so that's why they're acting in the way that they do, because they have to, and they have an important job.
That's right. And thank you so much, Max. I know we're going to see you later during our 4 o'clock show, and you'll have more on the service that you were a part of today. And to what Max just said, someone said during the service, you know, it's important that folks in the community, you meet and you talk to your officers. If you just see them out, you know, don't wait for it to be a bad situation before you have an interaction with law enforcement, right? If you just see one of them out, tell them thank you for what they do. And again, that procession is happening right now, and we are waiting for them to make their way to the cemetery in Santaquin. It'll take a while for them all to get there. We do know that. You can see here flags lining the streets of Santaquin, and you can see on the left side of the screen there, that's Macy. Spencer Joseph talked to her a little bit ago about her show of support for law enforcement in our area, because they do have such an important job. And she did say that we need to recognize the work that these men and women do, because it is so difficult. And for those who have fallen, it's so important to remember them and know that we won't forget them and that we can't forget them. And so those flags there, a reminder of all of those who have fallen in the line of duty. But today we are honoring Sergeant Hooser and all the work that he did. And there is Spencer Joseph. He is there along the procession route. Spencer, how's it going out there?
Excellent. Yeah, and more people are starting to arrive here and across the street as well. I'm actually going to step onto the other side over here and show you the patrol car from the Santaquin Police Department that is just, I mean, you can see just how much is surrounding the car. There are so many different departments that have left their patches. I've been walking around just looking. I mean, Springville, Spanish Fork, the Utah State prison systems, even some to the California Highway Patrol, so people coming from out of state to bring their patches. So if you can see back here on the back window, you could see all of the departments have left their different patches. I mean, there is probably, I would say 30 just in this area alone, and around the car, there are many, many, many more. There are people that are starting to put stuff out here this morning. Several people have actually told me that they didn't necessarily feel like they were ready to lay flowers or write a note yet, just because their emotions were just so raw in the moment that this happened. And a few people have come up and said things like, you know, today was the day that we really wanted to make sure that we brought something by, that we made sure to honor his memory in this trying day. So lots of people still bringing things out here. I mean, I don't know if viewers remember that this was a smaller, I wouldn't say small, but it was a smaller memorial in the initial days, and it has just grown massive at this point. I mean, there are so many flowers, so many American flags, so many notes and things like that. There are also notes that are being pasted on the front door of the Santaquin Police Department from children mostly, giving their respect to Sergeant Hooser. This town really has come out, and you could see the American flags lining every inch of Main Street of Santaquin. There are people, again, coming out here and wanting to pay their respects as the procession passes. So we're right along the procession route. So we will have that live as it comes through. I've been watching the UDOT cameras as well as you, Robin and Max, and you could see how long that procession is. There's a lot of officers, there's a lot of cars and motorcycles.
Coming up today at 1 o'clock, how boxing is helping people with Parkinson's live their lives to the fullest. Plus, no more dreading bath day. A dog groomer that comes right to your driveway will have a chance.
Yes, we are taking a look at things right now. This is our UDOT camera at I-15 going southbound, where that is where the procession is headed, where it will exit before it winds through the city and makes its way to the cemetery. This is a different look. This is from University Avenue, a look from University Avenue, where you can see traffic seems to be slowed a bit, which we were expecting because that procession is quite long. Hundreds of officers involved in that. They are expecting there to be travel and traffic delays. So if you are planning on heading out that way, just make sure you plan accordingly. Maybe take an alternate route, because the procession will take a while to make its way through the town. So we are going to keep our eye on that. Spencer is on the route, so we will be coming back to him once it makes its way there, and then we will go back to Bob Evans once they make their way to the cemetery as well. And you can see this is us highlighting the route in its entirety. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Coming up today at 1 o'clock, how boxing is helping people with Parkinson's live their lives to the fullest. Plus, no more dreading bath day. A dog groomer that comes right to your driveway will have a chance for a giveaway with them. Join us at 1. Coming up today at 1 o'clock, how boxing is helping people with Parkinson's live their lives to the fullest. Plus, no more dreading bath day. A dog groomer that comes right to your driveway will have a chance for a giveaway with them. Join us at 1.
Some of the doors can scream at you. It's just a simple tune-up can help it, or even changing out rollers. They're kind of like a car you need to tune up on a regular basis. At Precision, we're just a phone call away from getting your door repaired today.
Precision Door Service, a name you can trust.
I have moderate to severe Crohn's disease. Now there's Skyrizi.
Things are looking up, I've got symptom relief. Control of my Crohn's means everything to me. Control is everything to me.
Feel significant symptom relief at 4 weeks with Skyrizi, including less abdominal pain and fewer bowel movements. Skyrizi is the first IL-23 inhibitor that can deliver remission and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. And the majority of people experienced long-lasting remission at 1 year.
Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, had a vaccine, or plan to. Liver problems may occur in Crohn's disease.
Now's the time to ask your gastroenterologist how you can take control of your Crohn's with Skyrizi.
Control is everything to me.
Learn how AbbVie could help you save.
It's good to get some fresh air.
Fresh air?
Hi, guys.
Bill, you look great.
Now that I have Inspire, I'm free from struggling with the mask and the hose.
Inspire?
Inspire is a sleep apnea treatment that works inside my body with a click of this button.
No mask.
No hose. Just sleep.
Give me this thing. Where are you going?
I'm going to get Inspire.
Inspire, sleep apnea innovation. Learn more and view important safety information at inspiresleep.com.
Watch our kids play and you'll see it. Winning takes teamwork, but our politicians play a different game. Too many conservatives say they're on our team, but keep helping Democrats score. I'm Brad Wilson, and I approve this message because as a father of three, there is too much at stake to elect a phony conservative who won't fight for us. Joe Biden has been a disaster, and we need a slam dunk conservative to take our country back.
Breathing Claritin Clear is like feeling the breeze instead of feeling congested. Fast relief of allergies with nasal congestion so you can breathe better. Claritin plus decongestant. Live Claritin Clear.
Fox 13 Weather is brought to you by WattSmart and Rocky Mountain Power.
In other news, Salt Lake City police say bystanders stopped a driver from running away from a serious crash. It happened at 13th South, 21st East yesterday. Detectives believe speed played a role, and witnesses tell them the driver had run a red light. He was taken to a hospital with serious injuries. 2 people in the other SUV were also hurt, one critically. The other has serious injuries. UTA engineers have finished repairs to the tracks and an electrical pole damaged when a train derailed over the weekend, and the Green Line has returned to its normal schedule. The train derailed at 3100 South and Decker Lake in West Valley City yesterday afternoon. UTA says a 4-car train on the Green Line was coming around a corner when the last car came off the rails and hit a power pole. UTA says there were no passengers on board and no one was hurt. Crews have moved the train car to a maintenance facility. The investigation into what caused the train to jump the tracks is ongoing. And UTA says tracks riders need to be prepared for delays due to construction. There's a bus bridge operating on the Blue Line between Midvale Center and Fashion Place West. This will last until May 27th. Riders should expect 15 to 30-minute delays. And you will want to give yourself some extra time if you need to get to Salt Lake International Airport. The westbound I-80 ramp from northbound I-215 is closed for bridge repairs. Crews are replacing asphalt there. The road is expected to remain closed through tomorrow at 5:00 p.m. UDOT recommends drivers consider Trax trains as an option to avoid the traffic. The star prosecution witness in Donald Trump's New York hush money trial takes the stand with testimony that could help shape the outcome of the first criminal case against an American president. Michael Cohen is Trump's former lawyer and personal fixer. As Fox's Eric Shawn tells us, he is by far the most important witness in the case that's entering its final stretch.
Michael Cohen taking the stand in Donald Trump's hush money trial on Monday. Wearing a dark-colored suit, white dress shirt, and light pink tie, Trump's former lawyer and personal fixer left his New York City apartment building looking straight ahead, ignoring questions shouted at him. Cohen is expected to testify about his role in arranging the $130,000 payment to adult film actress Stormy Daniels on behalf of Trump. The money allegedly used to prevent Daniels from going public about her sexual encounter with Trump ahead of the 2016 general election.
We paid a lawyer a legal expense, and we have a legal expense is a legal expense. It's marked down in the book, quote, legal expense. It's perfectly marked down. The other side doesn't know how to handle it, but they say, let's indict him anyway.
Fox News legal analyst Greg Jarrett predicts a tough cross-examination.
He'll be confronted with all of the lies, and he'll be asked the standard question, were you lying then or are you lying now?
Legal experts say Cohen's appearance signals the trial is entering its final stretch. Prosecutors say they may wrap up their presentation of evidence by the end of the week.
if they're depending on Cohen, who already has gone to jail, who has already admitted to lying countless times in terms of when he's on the witness stand, we're looking at either a hung jury or even an acquittal.
So far during this trial, no witness has tied Donald Trump directly into the charges against him. Prosecutors, though, are counting on Michael Cohen to do just that. At Manhattan Criminal Court, I'm Eric Shawn, Fox News.
Raging wildfires are forcing evacuations in parts of Canada. Some 3,200 residents in northeastern British Columbia were under evacuation orders Saturday. The Parker Lake fire now has spread to more than 4,000 acres. Residents were also warned to evacuate parts of Alberta due to a separate wildfire that